Wow. Oh, illegal. Wow. Hey.
Kilodi, why do you shake your head like that? Hmm?
Mom, mom said she cook it tomorrow morning. She said she will cook it for that. She's not going to work tomorrow.
Please mute yourself.
Who is the other water?
Hello,
The other
everybody.
Hey, perfect. Perfect. The other water. Move your hand from this freezer. Check that freezer. Yeah. Is it not daddy that will just be open freezer every anytime he wants? Live here. We go upstairs. Upstairs looks like as if we should away. Live here. I'm not competing with cold water with you. I have something else I want to do. Eh?
Make sure.
Hello, I bet it's in class of the other again.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you are all doing well. So I think I've given
Yes, ma'am.
enough, yeah, we have given enough time for people to come in, and as well for those on YouTube. Now, if you're on YouTube and you can hear me clearly, please indicate, please send a message or write in the chat room that you can hear me so that I can start this. Okay, so we have some laid down rules. Okay, first of all, I think we should, before the rules come in, I should introduce myself and as well welcome you to part 3. So now it means that you are like quarter to your final year. So probably and obviously, you are now senior girls and boys. So my name is Mrs. Adewumi, okay, in the Department of Commercial and Industrial Law. So there are times that you may have questions, clarification. You can come to our faculty. My office is in room 137 on the 1st floor. Okay, so do well to come. The door is open. I have an open door policy. You can come when you have anything that you think you are not clear with enough. That's that. Like I told your class reps or the class rep that I've been in contact with, if I'm going to be taking you online, I want your undivided attention. Remember, we only have this course once in a week. It is a law course that you have never treated, you have never come across a lot of, or even if you have heard of them, you do not have a true position of them. Okay, so it is good that you give us your rapt attention when we are here. That is that for the attention. And I'll also start by saying that you should remember some people are laboring so that you can be here. So if your parents, your guardian, or even if you are the one doing the work, it should be unfair that you don't do what is expected of you. They don't have to be here or to keep micromanaging you before you do what is right. As it is, in the next 3 years, you start working for yourself. Okay? So do that which at the end of the day, their soul, their spirits would also pray for you. And one of it is by coming to class. Now, as it is now, you should be around 1,500 because the whole of management is taking this course and IC will also be taking this course. So I have 300 attendants here, and I would like to go through what I have on Facebook or on YouTube. On YouTube, I have only 133 students watching it. So what it means is that I don't even think, okay, maybe I only have a quarter of the class. Okay? And that would be very, very unfair. So I want you, whoever, to start talking or calling your colleagues that are not in class now. and inform them they have to be in this class. It is very essential. And that is the reason why I'm taking an online class. Ordinarily, I would have loved that I would take a physical class. But the class rep said, oh, let's go ahead with the online class today, because it seems that a lot of you would like online class. So if we are taking online class, then your attendance should be accurate. We should have the exact number of students here. Okay? So the other rule that I mentioned that I like to talk about is that please do not write anything in the chat box. Now, this is 420, which means that anything after 420, any name that I see in the chat box, any matric number that I see there in the chat box, that means I'm seeing somebody there now. I'm seeing Ghanaians. That means the person is not in this class. So that means you are not here. Somebody is writing the names for you. And I'll start putting down the names. Those that their names are here, I'll send it to your dean directly. And you'll be penalized accordingly. I don't want to see any name there. That place is for our charts. Now, when I start my class, because I want everyone to have a say, everyone to be able to ask questions, I like to use the chat room a lot. So as I'm having my class, my chat is also open on the screen of my laptop, which means I would be getting to see your responses. Okay, I want you to follow me. You know, I cannot see everybody's face, but with your chat, I will know that you can understand me. Now, I'm seeing one Esther in Neka, business administration. Obviously, this person is not here. And this person ought to be penalized. Anyway, by the time I'm done with my class, I'll get to know those that wrote their names after 420. So please, I'm sorry for I had to do a few things here. Okay, so coming back to what we have started. So that chat room is meant for you to react. Oh, do you agree with what I said? Oh, is it that you don't understand me? You should write in the chat box. Oh, please, please explain what you have said. And also I will be asking questions subsequently. And those questions, I would like everybody in the class to answer all of the questions. If there's one question, I expect 1,500 students to answer those questions. Okay? The question, all right? So the essence is that we are not going to miss the classroom. All right? I may not see you, but I know you are there. And so by the end of the class, and I'm reviewing what we have done today, I go through the names. I know, oh, this person was in my class. This person was in my class, as this person actually responded. You know what? At times you would think that, oh, you are having fun or you are being smart by being on the road and also being in the class. You are not, that's not smartness. I don't want to tell you what it means. All right. I pray God helps us as we start this course. And at the end of the course, we'll always have cause to praise God at the end of it. I hope, please don't. So, let me share my screen with you to make it very easy for you. All right. Let's see. I hope you can also you can see my screen. Now is the time to start using our chat box. I hope my screen is visible enough for you all. Okay. Okay, thank you. All right. What do I do before then for this? Okay.
Fine. Huh? That's it.
Okay. All right. So like what is on my screen? All right. Now, you know, if it had been a small class, I would have loved that I knew everybody by their names. And at some point, I would want you, so
And
I think another rule that we need to give to ourselves is the rule of interruption. By our next class, maybe I'm going to make one of the class rep a co-host with me so that they can deal with those that are interrupting us. And as well, we need to have their names down. Okay. So in fact, if you are interrupting for the first, at least for the first few seconds, you should know you have started interrupting us and correct yourself. If it exceeds that, that means you are not in our class. Okay. So thank you for adhering to our laws. And if there's anything that you think we need to add to them, or if you think that those ones are too, if you cannot adhere to them, let me know. All right. So we know if you are serious or not, if you just want to come and play. All right. But you may have genuine reasons. Okay, let's start off. Like what I had written on my first slide here. It is good that you have something to jot with. All right. Now there is a class book, like your textbook. And you can always get that textbook. You can get it in the law library, the law section. When you get to the law library, you call it business law. I want to be sure I'm giving you or I will send it to your classroom so that you can go to the law library section and grab a copy. I mean, you can go there and read. You can as well go and purchase one. I don't think we have anyone readily available, but then you can get there in the library. familiarize yourself. That's our test. Okay, so if I'm giving you a slide here, the slide is just a summary of what the topic or what the discussion is about. So you need to further go to the, so what can I do?
Mo inú owó yín ni mo ti owó school mi ò tí ì san. Wàhálà mo ò tí ì san owó school mi o. Mo kàn yọ ọ́nú ẹ̀ ni mo máa gbowó mi o.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Want to make somebody my co, but then okay. All right, I think that person is nice enough to mute themselves. Okay, like I've said, that's the textbook. I'm going to write the name for your class rep to also share with you. But if you are going to read a textbook, you also need your own jottings to guide you. All right, it will help you understand, you'll be able to connect the dots when you are reading the textbook. And so that's why we have it here that what should not be forgotten should be written. So if you don't want to forget things, you write them down. And we start now. You should write what you are doing in this class down so that you are able to recollect when you're reading. Now, we are doing basically everything or a lot of things on, excuse me, please.
Like what are they saying?
So, sorry, I'm back, and the reason I left for a while was to meet with one of your lecturers, where we have to work with your timetable, and that's why I had to leave. So please pardon me. Apologies for leaving you for, and I think without seeking for excuse. Sorry about that. Start here. Okay. I want to get responses that you can hear me. Can you? Okay. Sorry. Okay, thank you. All right, so let's commence from where we are now. After my admonition that you have to be in class, okay? Let's commence business law. What is business law? Business law is any legal framework, any law, any rules and regulation that has to do with business transactions. In as much as we would be picking few of them in our class, but then we are going to be taking those important parts of business law. We are going to be treating contracts. We are going to treat hire purchase with you. We are going to treat sales of goods, and we are going to treat the law on agency. Now, the reason why we are picking this is that they are more or less like the bedrock of commercial transactions all over the world, especially the law of contract. The law of contract is as important as is like the breath in man. So law of contract is like the breath in business transaction, in commercial transaction. I mean, the breath that we breathe in. If you cannot breathe in, if you cannot breathe all by yourself, you will need assistance. So that a business will not eventually need assistance, and that assistance may be going to the court of law, having legal actions here and there. You need to know what the laws, especially the law of contract, is about. Now, a few of the times you may be asking yourself, I don't really need it. What am I studying law? Now, to be a professional in your trade, you need to have a background understanding of law of contracts. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because we are just going to do a form of introductory aspects of the law of contract with you. And which means that it's not as if I'm going to go in depth, that you may be able to have a total idea of what a law or a principle on the law of contract is about. And that's why you have to be extremely attentive so you can grab seats on time. Now, as a person who is in the faculty or a student who is in the Faculty of Management Sciences, if you don't know what law of contract is talking about, you may not be able to manage things that will be put in your care. One, and number two, even if you have an issue that you want to discuss with a lawyer, it is your understanding, your basic understanding of that subject matter that would help you select the right lawyer. When you are speaking with a lawyer, you will know a lawyer, the right one to, you will know the one that knows the law very well by their responses. Because a lot of the times, or a few of the times, you know what their responses will be because you actually have an idea. But you may not just have the total understanding of that subject matter. But then you have an idea. But if you are telling a lawyer that which you are expecting a response to be A, and the lawyer is giving you a response that is E, in your mind, you don't even have to disagree with the lawyer or argue with them. You know this person doesn't know what they are doing, and it will help you move to the right one. All right? And in this life, you know, as human being, dispute is part of our existence. Because even there are times there are some dispute that comes up, it may not be it may not be something that people did purposely. It may just be a mistake. But then the fact that it's a mistake doesn't mean there should be no remedy, there should be no form of, you should not have a form of a place to go and be to get succumb from. So if a person makes a mistake, there should be an action that will follow suit. And that is why you need to know all of these things. Because in business transactions, in commercial transactions, in fact, a lot of the times we have disputes. And if you don't have a background understanding, you will not know how to handle them. Now, even before disputes arises, you need to have some frameworks, some things put in place in your organization so that you can avert those disputes. And that is why this course is very important to you. So business law, we are going to be talking about the rules and regulations that mostly deals with commercial transactions all over the world. And we are going to be treating laws in Nigeria specifically. All right. So let me give you a little bit of what it is. I said business law is the body of enforceable principles, rules, regulation, and practices governing various interactions between parties to a commercial transactions. All right. So it's basically deals with the principles, the rules, the regulations, the practices. Now, you will get to know that there are times it may not even be the law. It may be the practice in a specific environment or in a profession that determines how they do things. It may not be the law. Now, let's say, for example, if a lawyer wants to charge you, they will tell you we charge you by 10%. Before it became law, it has been the practice. Now, we don't have such law in the Constitution of Nigeria, but we have it in the legal professional, our practice, our professional practice. So in that, it's more or less like a practice, it's not the law. So at times you get to know that it is the practice that the judge would look into before they determine a case. Now, when we get to a part in contract, you get to know that at times, especially when we are talking about terms of contract, you now get to know that there are some terms of contract that are not based on law, but that they are based on the practices in that profession. All right. So what again is, okay, excuse me. Okay. All right. So what again is business law? We write here that business law, they are legal frameworks. I hope you know that what we mean by legal frameworks, they are like the laws. For example, the Constitution of Nigeria is a legal framework. Okay? We also have some other laws that you can refer to as legal framework. And as it pertains to us, we have another law, we call it Company and Allied Matters Act. We call it CAMA. And I don't know if you have done company law or that you're about to do it or something. But then CAMA basically is a legal framework on companies, the institution of company, registrations of company, winding up of companies, paying fees and all of that. That is the legal framework. All right. So we have a lot of them scattered here and there. Okay. So basically it's a legal framework through which economic and business activities are conducted and regulated. So that is it. But as time goes by, you get to know that laws, there are various sources of laws. But when we get there, we are going to cross it, all right? So like I said, we are going to be treating the law of contracts. We are going to be talking about agency, and law of contract, basically, it is the law that deals with contract agreements between two or more people that they both agree that is going to be binding on them. Okay? Law of contracts deals with agreement between one or more persons with the intention that it will be binding. The next one we are going to be working on is the law of agency. Now, law of agency Now, law of agency, all right, it governs the relationship, all right, where one person is a principal and the other person is an agent. And so you will notice that a lot of the times, maybe when you want to rent an apartment, you would say, oh, you are looking for an agent to help you scout around. Now, when we talk about law of agency, it is not only in tenancy, in property, trying to get a property that we deal with law of agency. Law of agency can be in businesses, in buying and selling. It can be in agreements. It can be and you can see it anywhere. What it just means is that somebody is representing another person. The person who is representing the other is the agent, while the other person that is being represented is the principal. And in the law, the principal, whatever the agent has done, it is assumed that is the principal that did it. So if an agent, when it comes, I'm talking about the law of contract, business law now. When an agent does something, the principal cannot come back tomorrow and say that, but I was not the one that did it. It was my agent. Now, the law presumed that whenever they see that agent, it's as if they are seeing the principal, because the principal would have given the agent an authority, either written or oral or otherwise. So subsequently, we are also going to be treating the sales of goods. And sales of goods is basically on the buying and selling of items. It can be perishable or non-perishable. Now, you will get to know that buying and selling is more than what you see outside there. If you can be attentive in all of our classes, you will get to know that there is more to sales of goods than what you have been seeing before. And when you are able to know it now, you'll be able to appreciate it when you start doing business in that line. Then we're also going to treat hire purchase. So hire purchase basically, now, it's not as if you all haven't heard any of these subject matter before. You may have heard it here or there. You know, I said when I was doing my introduction that these things are not totally new to you. But then you may not know the in-depth, you may not have an in-depth understanding of it. You may just have a basic understanding. Now, you might have been hearing hire purchase when it comes to Uber drivers and all of that. Hire purchase is more than commercial, is more than transportation. You can see hire purchase in the buying and selling of goods, in a lot more things. All right? So you will be able to appreciate these things more if you are attentive in the class. And I trust and I believe you are going to be attentive. Now, other subject matters that we ought to have treated with you, but because of time and because we thought this earlier one that I've mentioned are more important. Okay, so someone said they can't hear me. Is it true? Is it true you
can hear
cannot
you
hear
now.
me? Okay,
Okay.
like I said, yeah, please, let's use, Esther, maybe your network is faulty, all right? Okay, please, I'd like you to use the chat box. Don't speak. Because at times when you try to unmute yourself, you might make the mistake of not, when you try to unmute yourself, you may not be able to mute it again. Maybe you forgot, all right? So let's use the chat box. I am comfortable with chat box, okay? Thank you. Some other things that has to do with business law is law of partnership. We have company law. We have industrial law, law of insurance. And I know we have insurance people here. We also have law on banking and negotiable instrument. No, so I think for the insurance guys for insurance students, they are going to do law of insurance. I think they are going to do that separately. Maybe in part 3, this same part 3 or part 3 second semester or something. So also we have banking and negotiable instruments. We have taxation. We have intellectual property. We have shipping and admiralty. Now, I would have loved that I explained all of these things to you, but then we don't have enough time. So let's quickly delve into what we are here for. So somebody said, Jesus, I hope all is well. Owori Takpo, why did you say that? Okay, Adura, about the textbook, I don't think you can get it. You can check the book, the school library, but then, I mean, you can check the school bookshop. I don't know if you can get the textbook, but I know that it's in the library. We have it there in the library, and you can go and read, or you can find other ways of getting it, all right? All right. So, yes, I'll get the author's name for you as well, all right? All of that you are going to get. But I don't want to just give you a name that I'll be correcting later, all right? So let's quickly go to why we are here. I don't think you should get a PDF. I will not subscribe to that. That is infringement. That would have to do with copyright, and it's punishable in criminal law. So be careful with how you get it. God bless you. All right, let's quickly let me just start by telling you how important contract law is and how supreme it is. I think earlier I've said, like, I have told you that contract law is like the breadth that a business or a commercial transaction needs for it to survive. That is how important the law of contract is. It is the cornerstone of business law. It is the cornerstone of every business transaction, every commercial transaction. In fact, some people say it is the parents of business law. And I promise you, if you can have an understanding of what contract law is, every other topic you are going to be doing so far, it will be more easy for you. It will be very easy for you to understand it. All right. I also further said, whether in law of agency, in sales of goods, in insurance, hire purchase, and all that, contract is important. Even if you want to draft an hire purchase agreement, the body is like a contract, is a body of what law of contract is all about. You talk about the parties, talk about the preliminaries, the terms of contract, you talk about remedies, you talk about infringements in that same body of hire purchase agreements. So now tell me, why is it not important for you? And why should you not listen attentively to all our classes? All right. So all other topics that I mentioned, they are just like an extension of law of contract. All right. Because whether you like it or not, you see a little bit of law of contract here and there. And in fact, for law students, we teach them law of contract in part 2, so that they will have a basic understanding of what they are going to be doing later. Because every other law are like extension of the law of contracts. And so law of contract is extremely important. Now, tell me why it will not be important. If today, all of you watching me, you have been involved in a commercial transaction. All of you today have been involved in commercial transaction. If you're on Zoom with me today, you would have clicked some terms of contract before you'll be able to have that app on your phone. That is you entering into a contract. Even if you have not bought anything today, you are on Zoom with me, you will have clicked on some of their terms of contract where they will say, do you agree or not? That is contracts. You entered, although it has no consideration. And in fact, you will know they are getting consideration because the wider their spread is, the more they are able to get more money, because on their app, they are able to do some advertisements, and from there they get money. And so whether you like it or not, you have given them consideration. They benefit from everybody that is there with them. Although in this one we are using, it is the school. The school paid for this Zoom that we are doing because I can extend my time beyond 45 minutes. And so they are paid for. All right. So more or less like we have paid for a benefit you are enjoying now. The school had paid. So one way or the other, we have been involved in commercial transaction, and we do it every day. You want to buy bread, you want to enter a commercial bus, you want to do a lot of things. You don't have option but to be involved in a commercial, in a contract. Sorry, please. Okay, so let's now look at the function of business law. Somebody say we don't even read them. Sorry, you should read them. And that's what you are going to be learning now. And you cannot sign a paper. You cannot sign anything without reading them. Let me tell you the truth. A lot of us are guilty of that. And a lot of time, we don't read them because we also know we are benefiting from them. And so that's why you don't read. You be like, please, I don't need, let me just click on I agree, I agree, I agree. Because We are not even paying for these services at times. And so that's why in a position where you are paying for it, you will sit down and read it. And so you have to ensure that if you must sign a paper, even if it's from mommy and daddy, I am not saying go back home and be naughty, but I'm saying you have to read everything you are signing. Because in this law of contract, you get to know that a lot of people have really been jeopardized. They have even met what they cannot resolve in their lifetime because they signed a single paper. All right? Okay. Let's now go to the functions. All right? Number one, the function of business law is so that we can maintain law and order. In this age now, we do a lot of transaction on the internet through Instagram, Facebook, mostly Instagram. The fact that you are giving somebody your money, you know that if I have the address of this person, I have their phone number, I can always track them if they don't give me what I had paid for. And in fact, we are in the age of social media justice, where if they don't give you your item, you know to go to their page and go and send messages there that will put them off balance, and immediately they send you your item. But let's now assume it's not even on social media. It's somebody you went into their shop to go and buy item from them. You know there is a law that backs you up. There is a law that supports you. Whenever you are transacting with anybody, you always assume in your mind that they will do the right thing. And that when they don't even do the right thing, you have something to rest on. You can go to the police station. And because the police also know what the law says, they will get you justice. If you don't get justice there, you know to go to court to get justice. And that's why we have business law. So that you can have rules, regulation, principles that will be followed by every party in a commercial transaction. And by so doing, there will be law and order in our society. The next one is that there will be justice. Like I said, if you have an issue with the owner of a business, or even you owning a business, you have an issue with a person, you know where to go to. You know that you cannot go and beat them up in their house because that will cause chaos. There will be no order. You know you will get justice in the court of law. And so that is one of the essence of business law. When you get to the court of law will use the rules and regulations to determine your case. And so there will be justice for all parties. Can you understand me? And I hope so far we are doing well. I need your response. All right? So the next one is remedies. Another thing, another function of business law. Excuse me, please. Let me check what the YouTube is like. Now, on YouTube, I only have 276 people there. 276 candidates. I hope the class rep are taking note of this. So if by next week we are using another channel, it's your classmates, all right? All right, please. So thank you. So let me go back. Let's go back to Zoom. All right. I can see what I'm sharing. Oh, goodness. So back to Zoom, people. How can I get back to Zoom? Mhm. Sorry, please. Don't worry. I'll get myself back to Zoom. I'm just still finding it difficult, but then I will get back there. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, sorry. Yeah. It's what I'm looking for. Okay, thank you. I'm back here. All right, so the next one is remedy. Remedies. Another function of business law is that you are able to get remedies when there is a breach in a contract. When there's a breach in a contract, you are able to get remedies. Means that if you are aggrieved under business law, there are rules, there are regulations. Those rules and regulations are stated that if anybody breaches this law, this is what will happen. They are going to pay so fine. You are going to, and some of these remedies are like in form of damages, all right, in form of injunctions, and a lot more. All right. With this business law, even if somebody had cheated you for 10 years, you will get your remedy. In fact, if you are able to plead your case very well, you will get more than they have cheated you of. And so those are sweet things about business law, about the fact that we have these laws. The next function is legal protection. You know that when you are involved in any commercial transaction, legally you are protected. The law protects you. You know that the law protects you. And so there is this confidence that you have in the law. I want to ask a question from everyone. Do you have confidence in our Nigerian law? Or would I say not Nigeria, law generally? Do you have confidence in law? I mean in rules and regulation.
Nah.
So, like I said, I don't want to hear the voices. I just want your chats. Okay, a lot of you are saying no. You know what? I don't know how to put it, but I must be sincere with you. If the law is not working, you will not be going out and coming back every day. If it is not working, you will not be going to ShopRite or going places to go and buy things because they can decide to cheat you. So it is because the law is working that you can go to a bus stop, you can use the BRT without being aggrieved that, oh, I paid and they didn't carry me. They didn't take me to my bus stop or something. I am not saying those that said no has no point. You are entitled to your opinion, okay? But I'm trying to explain to you that if the laws are not working, if they are actually not doing what they are expected to do, although we may not be there now, but we are working towards getting that our laws are being adhered to and are really working. We are getting there soon. But I must be sincere with you. Our law is working. At least we are trying. That you can go outside and get things done. A lot of you, the type of bone straight you buy and all of that. And they dispatch it, they give it to you. You go to salon, you get your hair done, you get your clothes without, I'm not saying we don't have the few ones that are very naughty to deal with, but then at least to some extent, 50%, you are sure when you pay for some items, you get them. So I could say that our laws are working. Someone said for the laymen, they are also scared that if you give them work to do and they don't do it, you can call the police on them. Although a few of them may not be doing that, but then at least to some extent, they will get your work done. Okay? Because they know that you can get them arrested. And the only thing I think we are doing in this part of the world that is not, or maybe I could say that because we are not, because of the poverty, not total poverty now, is that a lot of the time when people infringes on your rights, you think of the money you are going to spend in court. You just felt, let me just let them go. See, if you test the court will give you what you want. I mean, the court will give you justice. Because at times, what you want may not be justice. You know, we have to be sincere to ourselves. So, business law offers legal protection. The next one is that it promotes trade and commerce. Who can write in the chat box, how do you think that business law promotes trade and commerce? Don't worry, I'll get that person candy. I'll get you a sweet if you can answer me. Yeah, please go ahead. Owori Tapo. Go ahead. How is business law able to promote trade and commerce? Let me see the first person that will give us the response. We are waiting. Someone say higher purchase. No, just explain to me how business law is able to promote trade and commerce. So I'm not getting, nobody, we don't have fast typers here, those that type very fast. Okay, the law helps to ensure the right conduct amidst businessmen within the country. Good job. And so, thank you, Akindele. Akindele, please, can we clap for Akindele? Also, it ensures efficiency, flourish, that's a good one. But what first says that contracts you sign does not, oh, someone is taking it away. When you have trust in the law, you'll be free to, yes, it ensures smooth business transaction without fear of being duped. Thank you very much, Adeleke. So Luadamilola also says their own that business law makes everyone feel secure, beautiful. That means you all have been following what we are doing here. Thank you for all that. I still please keep letting your responses come in. It lets me know that with that, I will know that you're actually participating and that you are in class with me. Another thing I want you to put in or have in mind when it comes to business law promoting trade and commerce is that let's look at foreign investors. I hope you know we have foreign investors in Nigeria. And the reason why we can have these foreign investors is that they know there are laws, we have laws that can protect them as well. In as much as these laws can protect the citizen, it also protects foreigners that are doing business in our country. MultiChoice is a foreign company. That is DSTV. And they are doing business in Nigeria without hindrance. They are able to do this business because they know the law will protect them. And because they know the law will protect them, they do business with us, it also promotes our trade. It also helps our economy to grow. It encourages foreigners to do business with us. By so doing, our economy keeps growing. It helps our trade and commerce. You see how important your work is to. Whatever course that you are doing is very important. All right. So thank you for your responses. Let's quickly move to the next. Let's see what we are going to get done today. So the question that comes to mind again is, why should you study business law? I wish I've not. Okay. why do you study business law? I know you may have seen it, but then, and I've also explained it. It helps build trust. Yeah. I'm asking another question. Why do you think it's important as a faculty to take business law? Why is business law important? What's so important about it? Makes decision promptly. Yes, you can make decision promptly. In fact, without having to call a lawyer. It helps you understand the legal environment. Thank you. Apart from obvious job, it also creates jobs. It helps you in decision make. It helps you to avoid mistakes. Thank you. Helps you to protect yourself. Thank you all. You have done so well. So let's quickly go and delve into what I have here. Number one, it helps for prompt decision making. You don't have to call a lawyer before you can make decision. There are some decisions that you have to make it in like seconds. If you don't have a background of what business law is, you may not be able to respond. You may not be able to do some business transaction. You may not be able to make some decisions. Another one we have that it says that it helps businessmen engage in discussions with insight and intelligence. Do you understand? As a businessman, even if you are not, excuse me. Without story, without story. Do you want to take picture? Take anyone. Take a story. That's without. And take a story down. Okay, sorry, please. Okay, so the next one that I'm trying to explain is that I said it helps businessmen engage in discussion with insight and intelligence. So the fact that you are not a lawyer doesn't mean when they are discussing on contracts, when they are discussing on, especially contracts, wherever you are seated, and you do not have a say, at least you should be able to say things and let them see it as true as it ought to be. Because you are a businessman, because you are involved in commercial transaction. And so all these things, at least the introductory aspects of it, you should know them. It also bridges the gap between the rule of law and the knowledge business by his own experience. Bridging the gap between the rule of law and the knowledge business by his own experience. All right. It helps you to know what is the rule of law. What is the law saying regarding this business? So this is your business. This is the law. It bridges the gap. It helps you know the point at which, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do, and that's what I'm not supposed to do. It enables businessmen to run their businesses in a litigation-proof manner. I hope that is clear enough. Okay, so in essence, okay, someone said they don't know business proof, litigation proof. What it just means generally is that, if you have an idea of business law, when you are doing business transaction, you are careful. You are so much careful that you will not make mistake that will lead to litigation. Litigation means cases, when you have case in court. You'll be so careful that you don't have to take somebody to court or somebody suing you to court. Like I said, that before you sign any paper, all right, you would have read through. The ones that when I was taught in class, they said that I'm not supposed to do this. You are supposed to expressly say this. You will have been able to pinpoint those loopholes. It is your basic understanding of business law that can help you do that. And so you will not fall a victim of litigation. You will not fall a victim of going to court back and forth. I want you to know that going to court is not an easy thing. You waste time, you waste money. It also gives you headache. And so you want to do everything possible to run away from going to court, to run away from litigations. So you were able to manage your risk. Thank you very much, Oluwatimileyin. You're able to manage your risk. In fact, it is good that even at some point when you read some contracts, some agreements that you don't understand, ensure you meet with a lawyer. A lot of the times people used to think they are wasting money going to a lawyer. See, you waste much more if you don't go to a lawyer. If you expect to give a lawyer 200,000, if you don't do it on time, you don't meet a lawyer to pay them and get the thing, let them read and advise you, and anything happens later, the cost of even hiring a lawyer to go to court for you, the cost of you going back and forth, transportation, the cost of you leaving your business to go to court is more than giving it to a lawyer in the first place to read for you. And so I would advise you, in addition to what you are doing in class, immediately you own your business, ensure that you are friends with law firms, with lawyers. I'm not saying friends that you not pay them, you pay them, but then you'll be able to talk to people and then you manage your risk. The reason why we have a lot of cases in court is because a lot of people are just, they don't manage, they don't have an understanding of what the law says. They just sign papers. And I know by the end of this course, you'll get a better understanding. You'll become a mini lawyer for yourself. Okay? The last one here says, the more a businessman knows about the law, the more he will be helpful to the lawyer in the conduct of the case. We have had some clients, a lot of clients, that they are just too troublesome. And they are too troublesome because they don't even know what the law is saying. You are in the court representing your clients. And at the end of the day, your client will say, you were not fighting, you were not shouting, and so you have not been doing anything. If you have a basic understanding of the law, by what a lawyer is saying in the court, you will know they are saying the right thing. A lawyer doesn't have to start using blows to defend before they defend you. When you know the law or you have a basic understanding of business law, it helps you to make the work of a lawyer or your lawyer simple without stress. Close it down. Thank you. So I have somebody here trying to be all right. I hope at this point we can go ahead, right? We are on the right track. I need a response. Is there anything you need us to explain? Are we doing well? Okay. Someone said no. Okafor, what's your question? Quickly type it in. Let me see while I move to the next place. Okafor, you said no. What do you like us to explain? Okay, exactly. Okay, while Okafor is typing what he wants me to explain, let's quickly move to the sources of law. Now, I have told you business law this, business law that, functions of business law. It is important. It is this. Okay, Okafor, I don't get what you said about litigation. So what I meant by litigation is that when you have an idea of business law, litigation means court cases. It means you going to court. That maybe, let's assume Okafor, you have a business You sold items to some people, and those people draft a contract for you. And in that contract, you did not read very well. You went to sign where they said, when you are owing, you will be paying additional 10,000 naira every day, every month. And you did not read it very well. You just went to sign. And when you were about to pay, you just made the payment of the core amount. And subsequently, they sue you to court for not paying the rest because you were careless. If you have a basic understanding of business law, you will know that such clause should not be in your contract. And so you won't have to go to court. Okafor, I hope you understand me now. You understood what we have been doing so far. So, like I've said, I've been saying sources, I've been saying business law is good. You have to know contract. But then, what is now the source? How do we get this law? How did law, what is the origin of law? Because these are the basic foundation that you need to know. It helps you that when you get to sales of goods, when you get to hire purchase, when they are mentioning some things, you'll be able to recollect and understand those things. They will not be new to you. So we need to trash those things out now. All right? Okay, so hold on. I'm supposed to do classification. What sources, really? Okay. The sources of mercy. Okay. So the sources that we have there, we have primary sources and we have secondary sources. So I hope you know what I mean by sources. Means the origin, where did we get our laws from? All right. Now, like I said, the primary source. We get our primary sources. One of the primary sources that we have is the received English law. And the reason why it is one of our laws, or it is one of the things that we can mention, is that I hope you know, and I hope you can remember that we were colonized by Britain, by the Englishmen. And so when they came to colonize us, they came with their laws and they ruled us with their laws. Even when they left, because they are some of the foundation that we have when it comes to modern laws, we still have to keep them in our archives. We still have to be using them at one point or the other. Although, as it is now, we don't use some of them again. We call a lot of them, we use it as they are just to convince the court. They are not the things that the court basically look at, because we now have our laws. We are now independent. But then one way or the other, wherever our law is defective, or wherever there is a lacuna, wherever there is a gap or there is a space where our law has not filled, we now use this received English law to fill them. Okay, someone said that they received in someone you saw it somewhere that it said it's a secondary source of law. We cannot actually say it's a secondary source of law because this is our origin. This is where the whole thing starts from. Okay, this is where the whole thing, more or less like where our story starts from. All right. Yeah. So it's just like us using it as a foundational basis for our law. Okay. Although, like I said earlier, they are just to convince the courts. They are not something that the courts ordinarily behold as our law, because we have become our own persons now. You can remember I'd explained that. But then, in a situation where there is a gap that our law hasn't filled, we now use this received English law to fill it, so that a case that goes to court will not be without justice. And under that received English law, we have the common law, we have the doctrine of equity. Yes, received in this is the example. Someone said I should give you the example. The examples are common law, doctrine of equity, statutes of general application. All right. So let me try to explain these things one by one. And I think we still have enough time. Now, common law. Please, I want you at this point, be very, very attentive. Okay? Common law, they are laws that were created by judges. Now, remember that the received English law, these white men, they brought it when they were coming, when they came to rule us. But before they came they have their own background, they have their own foundation. And in their foundation, it all started from judges. Now, if you are a Christian here, you will know that during the days of Moses, when the Israelites when they left Egypt, there were disputes amongst them. So because Moses was the leader, he was the one acting as the judge, settling this dispute, settling that dispute. But there was a time his father-in-law came, Jethro, and his father-in-law said, "Man, do you want to kill yourself? Why not get wise men among these people too? Let them be of help. Let them assist you." Now, you pick a wise man in this family, a wise man in that household. Let them start ruling or let them start judging these matters in their different community, in their different little communities. And so Moses appointed these judges. But then, these judges were not giving justice based on their own understanding alone or based on their own basic or based on their own laws. Moses also tried, they were ruling, they were judging according to the laws of Moses. And that's how we were, I think the laws are in Exodus, Leviticus. Where are the laws in the Bible? Where is the Bible scholar here? I'm not seeing anybody. Someone said I should give you an example. This is the example of received English laws now. Yeah, Exodus. Thank you very much. We have a lot of laws in the book of Exodus, some in Leviticus, but Leviticus says a lot on the Levites and how yes. Somebody has asked again that what is received English law? Example. I am giving you the example already. One of the example of the received English law is common law. And so common law, they are laws that are developed by judges. And I started with a story. I am on that story. Now, excuse me, please. Okay, so someone said they don't know the difference between common law and judicial precedents. You have to calm down, okay, so you can know it. Calm down, all right? So these laws that are then, because the British too, the white men, all of the things they are doing is according to the Bible. And so subsequently, they too, they inherited those actions of laws, actions that we have judges, and judges were the ones creating the laws. Okay, so common law talks about the laws that are made by judges. Okay, but then this common law, like we said, for example, look at the laws in Exodus. Those laws, nobody can go outside of those laws among the judges. If you must rule, if you must judge over a case, it must be within the confine of those laws that Moses had created. And so the white people too, they were doing it subsequently. Give us a reference of the received English law in Nigerian Constitution. I can't give you a reference of received English law in the Nigerian. It's not in the Nigerian. It's just a part of it. Subsequently, all this law, they were now made, they were now codified. And that is why you have to calm down. Because if you don't calm down, you won't get it. You guys are just jumping. Calm down. We are talking about history. The Constitution didn't just come. They didn't just start writing books. It all started like some judges trying to say this is what, if somebody slaps this person, then you slap him back. It was not codified. They were not written in a book before. It's not all these things we have in a book now. They were just written down as a guide. All right? It wasn't as if they said this is the Constitution. And I think the one that was mostly written down could be that Moses wrote down there then was the 10 Commandments. All these things were things that they saw him do. And he said them. If this person does this, this will happen. And that was how they started it. But at some point, the white men too, they have inculcated that habit. They started developing their laws. When something happened, the judges will look at what has been happening before. They keep doing that. But at some point, like I said, that they cannot go outside of what has been said before. And so there were injustices at some point. Because, the way human beings develop, if we develop as human beings, or as we are developing so much, so also we have disputes, more disputes coming up. And so at some point, they could not find new disputes in the old guide that they've had. And so there are some times that some people will go to these judges and say, this person killed the baby of, did something which hasn't been provided for. When they go to court for such, in the court, they will not get remedies. And so a lot of people started going back without remedies like that. So there was one court they called the Court of Chancery. It was the court that now took his own stand and said, no, we should be able to find a way to find justice for those that we cannot get their disputes in what had already been provided for before. All right? And so it was true then that we then have the doctrine of equity, which means that if the law has not provided for a certain dispute, there should be equity. The law of equity will come in and say, oh, if the law will not provide for your case, then let us, as a judge, try to find a means of giving them remedies. All right? Of giving them remedies. What is happening in the chat box? Somebody, is it safe to say that common law are also called judicial. You cannot say they are called. You can only say that judicial precedents are guides. Okay, when we get there, these children. All right, please, let's be calm. All right, like someone had said. So that is it for the doctrine. Did you understand the doctrine of equity? The doctrine of equity came in as a result of the gaps or in common law. Like I said, in a position where the common law did not provide for remedies for some disputes, then the law of equity will come in to provide remedies. The law of remedies serves as a succor to those that could not find remedies in common law. All right. So I'm seeing some questions. Let's see if there are questions. All right. Then after the doctrine of equity, also under received English law, we have statutes of general application. We call them SOGA. We have statute of general application. So under statute of general application, we have the, hold on. It is under the statute of general application, the statute of general application that you can in short call SOGA. This law were those codified law that we have before 1900. All right, that we have before 1st of January 1900. And examples of them are the Sales of Goods the Sales of Goods Act, the Illiterate Protection. We also have the Child's Rights. Now, the reason why we inherited it, now, statutes of general application, they are things that, they are laws that were, they were in more or less like codified law. Remember that common law was not codified. Codified means put in papers, put down somewhere, and say this is a law. You can have it written here and there, written here, but then it was not a law. Put together that this thing is for specific, this, like we have Sales of Goods Acts, which is basically for sales of goods, buying and selling of items. And that we have the Illiterate Protection Act that protects illiterates, basically. So these laws that we have then before 1900, we also have it here, and we have been using them so far. Yes, 1st of January 1900, 1900. Yeah, you are right. Ayemi. All right. So statutes of general application were laws that were made for basic and defined subjects. For example, Sales of Goods, Child's Rights Act, and the Illiterate Protection Act. All right. So that's for it. That is for received English law. So under received English law, we have the common law, we have the doctrine of equity, and we have the statutes of general application. All right. Another way you can explain common law is that common law are laws. They are general principle of the law. They are general principle of the law. For example, if the law says that generally a child, like I have said earlier, that if a child does this thing, or if somebody kills another person's goods, you should take 2 of their goods as well. Now, let's now assume that that person killed another person's goat by mistake. All right? Does it by mistake. Does it now mean that the owner of the goat should not be given remedy? Or does it now mean you should kill their own goats too? Now, if common law has said killed his own goats, but that he mistakenly killed another person's goat, equity can say, why not take money from him? Maybe take, instead of, if the goat is 50,000 naira, Why not give the person damages of 20,000 naira? So that is how equity comes in, just to ensure that nobody goes as a loser. There is a win-win case. All right? That there's a win-win case. All right. I hope that before next date, before our next class, you would ensure that you read up on these things before our next class, because our first 5 or 10 minutes, we are going to be using it for answers and questions on our past subjects. I hope. All right, so let's quickly move on to, yes, thank you, Favor. Favor says, so equity means like the conscience law. Yes, that you are using your conscience and you are trying to be kind, because the law can sometimes be brutal. But then there should be somebody that would try to, because it is not in all cases that people do things purposely. There are times they make mistakes. Where there is mistake, equity comes in. You get to, when we get to the law of contract, we are going to say all of these principles. We are going to talk about their common law aspects, and we are going to talk about their equity aspects. Do you understand now? All right. Go and open your door for daddy. Oh. All right. All right. So let's quickly go on to the Nigerian legislations or statutes. Okay. Okay. So let's now go to Nigerian legislations or statutes. Can you give me an example of the Nigerian legislations and statutes? Can we have an example? I need to have seen people typing, because it seems you know it already. So those that have been asking, so what's the difference between judicial precedent and this, that? Oh yeah, where are you now? Yeah, give us the examples of Nigerian legislations. I hope you can hear me. So it's not like it's, thank you, Owori Kapo. It's not 1998, it's the 1999 Constitution. And when next you are writing, you should write as amended in a bracket, the 1999 Constitution. All right. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have the 1999 Constitution here, which is the most and the supreme law. It is our supreme law in Nigeria. Now it is amended. It has been amended for a long time, for several times now. As amended, the amended, yeah. We have the, thank you, Olushola, the tax reform bill, KAMA, and all of that. Now, when we are talking about legislations and statutes, we can look at them from an aspect. Someone used Decree Act now. These things are quite different, okay? You can look at it in the civilians law and the military law. During the time of, okay, let me start from civilian. During the time of civilian, our legislations, they come in form of acts and laws. So, for example, you can have the Child Rights Act of Nigeria, and we can have the Child Rights Law of Lagos State. What is the difference in what I've just said now? I mentioned the Child Rights Act of Nigeria and the Child Rights Law of Lagos State. Who can quickly explain what I'm trying to say? Yes, federal and states. As simple as that. So in federal use acts. So any law that is made by the Senate, the House of Assembly, any law that is made by the both by the House of Representatives and the Senate, we call them acts. The acts of the National Assembly. The acts of the National Assembly. So it is made by the federal. But any law that is made by State House of Representatives, we call those laws. And that's why I mentioned the Child Rights Law of Lagos State. Do you understand the difference now? Let's now quickly go to military regime. During the military regimes, we have decrees and edicts. Decrees are made in the federal at the federal level during the military decree, during the military rule, and edicts are made at the state level during the military regime. Okay, so someone asks what is bylaw. Bylaws are made by the local governments. Precious, I hope you know. I think you guys were taught this in government in your secondary school. Isn't it, Precious? Bylaws are made by local governments. All right? Please, do we understand all of these things that I've explained? So that we can quickly move. Our time is fast spent. If we can finish sources of law, then we'll move away, then we'll go to the next. I wish that we had finished this today. I wish that we had finished these slides today. But then I know by God's grace, next week we are going to conclude. All right. So let's now go to case laws or judicial precedents that some people were so eager to know. Now, what are case laws? Case laws are laws that as a result of the decisions that every judgment of a court is regarded as law. I'm repeating myself. The judgments of courts are regarded as laws. Remember when I was mentioning common law, I mentioned that common law, they are like laws that are already there. They were actually created by judges. But then, people cannot go outside of it. Mostly, we have them that this is a law. This is a law that we use when somebody slaps the other person, like I've said, under what that we mentioned Exodus and all of that. They are laws that are already, there are things that have been premeditated. There are things that have been judged over the time and now become their law, that even no judge can go against those laws. When it comes to case law and judicial precedents, we mean that if a court gives a judgment today, now, as against what I mentioned in common law, if the Supreme Court today says that where a party slaps another person, they should shoot them down or they should gun them down, the Supreme Court can come next year and renounce and make another law as against what they have made before, which cannot happen during the days of common law, except when equity comes in. So when you are talking about case law and judicial precedents, what we are saying invariably is that every judgment of a court, especially court of high courts, like Supreme Courts, like Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, the high courts, and court are in their levels, those judgments are regarded to be laws. Why do we regard them as laws? So that I don't waste too much time, I would have loved to ask questions from people. Someone is still talking about this thing. Is that Ma, did you talk about maxims of Malcolm, I have moved past the doctrine of equity, and I don't need you to know their maxims. If you want to know their maxims, are you a law student? That you want to know the maxims? Is that why you are here? You are treating business law. Like I said, we are just trying to help you to understand the basic. In fact, law students, a lot of them don't know the maxims until they get to part 4. Okay? So calm down. Don't be too, you can't, that's not what you are here for. All right? Okay. No, it's not as if they even finish the course outline. They don't even, let me just explain myself so you guys don't take my time. All right. So, Malcolm, I'm not pleased. It's not as if I'm making fun of you. You are doing well. But then that's not what you are here for. You are here to just know the basics. Because we are here, we have not even started business law itself. We are just trying to give you the basis of law. What are the things that made up our laws? Okay? If you want to learn about the maxims, you can go. For example, he that comes to equity must come with clean hands. Equity aids the vigilant and not the indolent. You know, all of that. You can talk about that. But then, seriously. Okay? All right. So, going back to my case law and judicial precedents. You can go and play. So, trying to, let's just, like I said, case law are laws that decisions of the courts, we call them laws as well. And this is the reason why we call them laws. If in the case that is decided by the Supreme Court says that for a lawyer to file a case in court, the lawyer must affix their stamp. Any lawyer that doesn't affix their stamp, that thing that they have filed in court will not be approved or will not be acceptable. Such a case now come before an high court. Now, remember that decision was made by the Supreme Court. Such a fact, such dispute now come before an high court. The lawyer that is opposing the other one that is not, let's now assume a lawyer, Mr. A did not, Mr. A, the lawyer, Barrister A, did not affix his stamp and file the case. The other lawyer, who is Mr. Barrister B, now sees that and brought a case against him or raised an objection against that thing they filed. If you are raising such objection, right, you will come by means of application and support it with an address. You will now address the court using the Supreme Court judgments that, my lord, this is the position of the Supreme Court regarding this kind of case. And by so doing, that Supreme Court decision becomes the law that they will use to resolve that case. Do you understand me? I have just 1 minute. Let's try to trash this out now. Then we start from delegated legislations next time. Please, those that don't understand, let me know so that I can use this 1 minute wisely. Okay, I will start again. They become laws. All right? When you go to high court, when you go to courts, remember that whatever decision that is made for you, you have no option, especially when you have appealed and have even gotten to Supreme Court. Whatever decision that is made, you cannot say no. You abide by it. One, it becomes law in such aspects. Another aspect is that another person can also use that decision to support their own case in the future, especially lower courts. In fact, if a case is taken to the Supreme Court too, that same Supreme Court will honor his own decision as well. And so if decision was made in a Supreme Court, like the example I give, that let's assume I am lawyer A. Now, this is the end of my class. This is the end. This is my last statement, okay, or my last explanation. I am lawyer A. I filed a case in court. And when I filed that case in court, I did not fix my stamp. And the decision of the Supreme Court was that, oh, you did not fix your stamp, we are going to non-suit your case. In a future case, another person can use that decision to support their case. That this case, that another lawyer is doing, this lawyer that's filed a case that did not affix his stamp, please, my lord, I want you to non-suit the case. Because the Supreme Court has said the same thing. And so they will use this as a basis, as a law, to non-suit that case. So someone said, can a Supreme Court deviate from its? Yes. I have mentioned earlier, I have mentioned that the Supreme Court can deviate from its judgments. If they say A today, tomorrow they can say what we said that time, because we are human beings, and human beings, we evolve over the time. So as we are evolving, our laws too are evolving. And so that's how judicial precedents also evolve. If the Supreme Court yesterday says, oh, somebody should be slapped, they can say today, oh, no, it should not be slapping, it should be imprisonment. Because slapping may be too small for the injury they have inflicted. So that will be the end of our class for today. God bless you. Ensure that you read up. I'm going to send the book, the title of the book, and then the author to the Course Reps platform. Thank you. Bye. And I know you can also go back to this, my explanation on YouTube or I think YouTube, so that you can listen to it again and understand it. All right? Bye.
Move na just back anyhow. What happen?